معلش.
That is the moment I forget everything.
Yeah.
Morning, everybody. Can we take our seats, please? Thank you very much. Good morning once again, and welcome to D3 for the Samsung Fashion and Tech Talk 2.0. I'm Abdou Shleila. I'm the head of the mobile business for Samsung Electronics across MENA, and I'm really happy to be here as part of Fashion Forward also. We've started our partnership with Ramzi Bong and the team last season, and honestly, I have to say we're extremely happy about it. Our first engagement last season started with a tech talk, and that's how we wanted to start it this season because we thought it was a very nice dynamic. In the interim between two seasons, we had a very interesting discussion with the team, and we saw there was an opportunity to further engage with the key stakeholders in the region when it comes to the fashion industry and enable them typically when it comes to key business challenges. So a few months ago or a few weeks ago, we launched our EPIC program, empowerment program through industry collaboration. This is enabled by Samsung, endorsed by DDFC, and supported by D3. I'm sure many of you in the room have been already exposed to EPIC, and it's a very exciting program that we're very happy with. We'll be sharing a bit of interesting news towards the end of the talk about one of the key pillars of EPIC, mainly the Domus Academy Scholarship and their winner. But now let me start to talk to you about the topic of today. So in last season, we talked about the convergence of technology and fashion. So really the discussion was about content, the different social platforms that emerged in the last few years, the engagement that has happened on these platforms through multiple content publishers. So we're talking about the established publishers, but very importantly and interestingly, what we call influencers, and the typical wide-scale engagement of consumers on this platform. So this content, this engagement, has driven the fashion industry in many ways, and the fashion industry has benefited from it in many ways. So that was the core of the discussion last talk. And then since then, we looked at what are the key changes that have happened in the last 6 months that we want to focus on in this talk. So typically, there has been an advancement in technology, as we know. Technology innovations come in quite quickly. And in the last 6 months, we've seen a significant adoption of virtual reality. So as a brand, Samsung, we have our hardware, Galaxy VR, Gear VR, being sold in the market, and many consumers getting exposed to it. And we have content publishers generating VR content that is immersive and very interesting for the consumer. That is a dynamic we will be talking about, the first dynamic in this talk. And the second one really is about the wide-scale interest that fashion brands have seen on social platforms, typically focusing around fashion weeks. So historically, fashion weeks have been private events for the very select few in the fashion industry. However, recently, they've become, I would say, consumer events, right? Immediate access to content, real time, from these fashion weeks, and huge consumer engagement and excitement. So brands have said, how can I capitalize from this excitement and turn it into purchase? Because historically, this has been linked to purchase post a few months after. We're talking 5, 6 months, typically, how the season dynamic happens. So Burberry, I would say, launched or spearheaded the dynamic of see now, buy now. We're not going to be talking about, I would say, the business implication of see now, buy now, but we're going to be talking about how tech enabled it and how tech will drive see now, buy now moving forward. So that's basically the core summary of the overall discussion. And let me introduce my panelists who have very deep expertise in multiple layers in this discussion. So first, I would like to introduce Rosamund. Rosamund Manji is a leader business fashion consultant in our region. Rosamund has deep experience in the fashion industry. She historically worked for Tom Ford. She has a Louboutin shoe named in her name. And she also spearheads the regional launches of top global brands. Most importantly, she launched in the region Burberry See Now Buy Now. So extremely relevant for our discussion. Welcome, Rosamund. Thank you, yes. Our second panelist is Valerio. Valerio is the founder of Now Fashion, the leading content generator of fashion across the globe. He's been partnering with Fashion Forward for the last few seasons, generating real-time, top-quality, very high production value content. And we're going to be talking with Valerio on the emergence of VR and how that is impacting how consumers consume content today. So welcome, Valerio. And then we have Priya Patel. She is the lead for Instagram in the region. So Instagram is the renowned fashion platform. I'm sure many of you are on the platform today. So we will be talking about key insights of how consumers and other stakeholders are engaging on this platform. What are the insights and how we will move to, I would say, instant commerce. So Instagram started that and how that will develop in the future. So that's overall our panelists. Welcome, Priya, also. Thank you. So I'm going to start our discussion with Priya, actually. And I would like you, please, to share with us the current dynamic, or let's say the historical dynamic of Instagram as a social platform that is extremely immersed in the fashion industry. What are the key, let's say, happenings, insights on the platform, and where do you see that moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram has been on an incredible journey since it launched 6 years ago. It's increasingly become that platform that sets trends, that gives an open view into anything that's happening in the world. And it's becoming more and more current as well. In particular to the fashion industry and the luxury industry, they just go hand in hand. It's been one of the industries that's been prevalent on Instagram since the beginning. And we're seeing an evolution, certainly with designers, with retailers. They're increasingly using it as a platform in which to launch collections, set trends, give a view into what's next as well. So Instagram has definitely become more current, especially with stories and the launch of stories, especially for the last few fashion weeks that we've seen. Brands have been using it to launch collections firsthand, transport the community and the users as if they feel like they're on the front row as well. So these are some of the trends that we're seeing. And then with fashion users, we call them, the fashionistas on Instagram. In terms of the content that they're consuming, they actually use it 15 plus times a day. They're accessing and creating impressions 3 times more than the average Instagram user as well. So they're very, very focused, and they use Instagram as that place to go to find out what's new.
Great. Obviously, social platforms have endorsed multiple technological advances in terms of content types. So we've seen this at the beginning it was text moving into visuals, and most recently into 360 content. So I wanted to ask Valerio on his perspective of different content types. How does it differ in terms of consumer engagement, in terms of consumer interest, and what is the future of content moving forward?
Well, I guess As a technology develop very fast, communication also go very quickly. We see like an evolution from fast publishing of contents from text to photos. And today, what we see as happening, the 360 videos, virtual reality, as already there, even if it's maybe just a few years that arrived on the market. So we started producing contents with brands for bring the user inside. So let's say what has evolved that you don't have anymore a perception of user watching on a screen, but you have the perception of the user being in the place. So it's practically, let's give you a practical example. If now you wear your glasses or sunglasses, you look through your glasses, it's like looking into a virtual reality content. So you're just exactly there. So your point of view, we started developing that a few years ago with a brand, you guess all you know, Christian Dior. We did our first experiment on a fashion show. Then everything was so successful, we started to produce content behind the scene. So we filmed a grass chateau, the castle of grass, is where Christian Dior grows the magnificent roses that are the base for the parfum beauty product. And the aim was this chateau, for example, is being filmed, photographed, so it's been shown to people many times, but actually they wanted to get at the point to bring the people inside the chateau, to see them as they are there. That was my aim to create a video, a 360 video, to bring people over there. We did another experiment also with another brand that he wanted to work through different places. So we implemented the first 360 video with some clickable items that could bring you from one place to the other. So we are here now. Then you want to go to visit the hall number 2. So just click, go to the hall number 2. It was then coming back or implementing 2D contents into a virtual reality atmosphere. And now, next step we're working on is that, let's say, we are now in a 360 video, in a virtual reality world. You're looking at me. Let's say Priya has her glasses over here, like wearing her gear. 360, look at me and say, oh, Valerio, nice T-shirt. Poof, she click on me and she buy me. I wish so. So that is, I think, how can be the future now into virtual reality.
So do you see like brands that you engage with asking for this specific type of content, or is it historically still the typical content?
No, that's I see, and it's happening now, is because the beauty of this technology of virtual reality that has developed very fast. It's very accessible compared with other things we tested in the past that needed big investment, a lot of material, a lot of knowledge, technical knowledge. VR today is something as simple as making a phone call. That's what I see as a simplicity of that, accessibility to everyone who want to have it.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, as a brand, we've seen wide-scale adoption of VR across the market, specifically in our region also. And we have seen also, or the dynamic is as content is being created, more immersive content with high production value, there's a significant consumer interest in purchase. And I want to ask Priya about Instagram. Historically, was the platform for clickable commerce. And it happened on the platform. And I wanted to, ask you to give insights on what is Instagram doing to drive, instant commerce on your platform, and how do you see the wave moving forward?
Yeah, Absolutely. So I'll just go back and take a step back. Instagram's basically being created on the back of three principles, and it's three principles that really still is very true to. The first of all is community first. Whenever we make a decision, be it a commercial one, be it a product change, we always keep the community in mind. What would they like? How would they like this development? The second principle is to inspire creativity, and this is something that Instagram has pushed throughout the 6 years, and this really plays into how we're evolving as a commerce platform. And the third thing is keep it simple. Keep it simple really shines through in just the usability of the actual platform itself. So if we take those three considerations and the way that we've evolved in the commerce world, Instagram has really moved. Initially, it was seen as a platform that has really highly created images and it serves as a tool for brand awareness. When in fact, in the last 6 to 12 months, we've really put our attention at driving the performance angle. And this is where the commerce perspective has really played in. So from Michael Kors, who were one of the first fashion and luxury brands that enabled all of their images and then actually implemented the shop now button, to all of our local players such as Namshi, some retailers such as Zalando, ASOS, Net-a-Porter have started to do this as well. So it now comes in hand. I think if we look at brands and the way that they position themselves on the platform, they no longer isolate brand awareness versus commerce. They actually do everything together. And Instagram's a great platform for them to not only be relevant and immersive, but also to follow through and do that storytelling aspect of it as well. And so they're actually packaging what they do. And we're seeing it come through a lot with the SMB sector as well. So from, like to know it when they were new, to an app called Grabble in the UK, you may have heard of it. It helps you match what's trending in outfits for certain occasions. They're really pushing things such as mobile app installs and website conversions from Instagram itself. So it's become very, very instant. And this is a trend that we see developing as well.
So instant access to commerce and wide-scale consumer interest, especially on fashion weeks, has somehow led some brands to jump into, producing their products real time. So in line with how they present it, also present it on a commerce level. So Rosmin, if you can give us some insights on the see now, buy now model, what kind of dynamic, how this dynamic actually came to place, and your insights on those.
So you mentioned Burberry, first of all. So I've been working with them for about 10 years. And what was interesting is they actually started, one of the first kind of big events we did for them was literally 9 years ago, and it was this element of 3D. So 9 years ago, people entered our event, had 3D glasses, live feed into London, and it was happening everywhere. So Tokyo, New York, all over. And of course in Dubai we're very lucky because it was like a 7 o'clock start time. The show was at 5 in London. And that was kind of the first time they really kind of implemented technology. So you could actually see the show live, the 3D glasses. Fast forward a few years, they come up with runway to reality. So that was the other thing. You see the show, within seconds you're in your store in Burberry, wherever you are in the world, or online, you click, you're like, I want look 1. Within 6 months you get it, right? So right. I feel they were really the first ones to kind of start coming up with this element of how do you get it as fast as possible to the consumer. Then of course, fast forward again, 3-4 years, social media has kind of evolved rapidly. And then there's this element of, well, two things actually. There's this element of everyone has access to the shows, right? So it's live feeds. You're constantly seeing this look over and over again on the runway. Subconsciously, 6 months later, you're kind of tired of that, you're tired of it. So this element of kind of, see it, buy now came up. And from a commercial point of view, all the buyers had to sign NDA agreements. So brands like Tom Ford, Burberry, they came in, they did the buy. So you can imagine how stressful it is from actually a designer point of view, actually, because you're designing a lot of collections. You have to be super forward thinking, what your vision is going to be from all elements. So from the retail space, what your store is going to look like, the clothing. So these buyers come in, they sign this NDA agreement, the show gets shown in London or New York, and then 24 hours later you walk into the store and you can buy the Tom Ford Napa jacket. And it is that element of, it is winter, I saw the jacket, I want to wear it immediately. And I think on a, I speak from a luxury perspective, is that the modern buyer now is traveling all the time. So she doesn't want to wait 6 months. When it's winter, she wants to be going into a store and buying winter clothes, not this element of, I saw it, I have to wait a few months, I'm waiting for a resort. They want things that are timely for weather in whatever city they're shopping in. I think you'd agree, right? And I think it is that instant gratification. I think it's all elements of that, of the sectors. But yeah, I think Burberry was really the one to spearhead that.
I think they benefited from this instant access to commerce opportunity, taking into consideration the significant consumer awareness and demand. Did their sales increase?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. Because I think everyone just wants. I think that is the culture now. They
Right.
want the latest phone. They want the latest camera. Whatever it is, people just want it now. And everything is accessible. And then, I mean, I know we're talking about e-commerce, but everything is accessible now. So I think it's only natural that fashion has evolved as well.
Right. So I mean, the industry is now in an interesting phase where buy now could become the model, with many brands following suit, and that raises the question about how can I make my current content more immersive, and how can I enable purchase, right? And so on a VR level, Valerio, you stood up and you gave us the nice tour, and he clicked on his shirt. So is there an impediment today? Is there a challenge on a technological level to integrate purchase opportunities in VR?
No, I think it's quite simple. Technologies are already there, and as today we can do virtual visits of places. It's the same things that instead of adding a click-through to another place to make a click to buy an items of a video, of a 360 video.
Right. But we haven't seen brands do that so far, right? I mean, there's no instant v-commerce applied today. Do you think that's coming? What's your perspective on that?
It's not yet, but I bet that it will be very, very soon happening, this one.
It seems it's confidential.
Yeah, I'm very, very confident about it,
All right.
actually.
All right.
Something because technologies are there, they exist, it's just time for the brand to get involved into that. The moment, that is the moment. I mean, there's no anymore waiting into that to happen.
So, I mean, as a brand, we focus a lot on improving our communication, quality of communication, messaging on a going basis, and we look at multiple ways of doing that. And I feel that most of the fashion brands, obviously, because image and quality of engagement is extremely important. Rosamund, I wanted to ask you with your experience on e-commerce platforms. Today, for example, you go into an e-commerce platform and there's a basic visual. What's your expectation on the e-commerce experience?
I mean, I work with matchesfashion.com, and there's a huge investment that has gone in to really kind of connect the consumer to the product, and I think now the consumer is very demanding as well. So when they are going online, they want to zoom in on the product. They do want a 360 visual. They want to see how the item moves. So you look at ASOS or Matches, you can actually see a video. You can see the model walking. You see how it falls perfectly on her. And I think when investing in an e-commerce site, you really have to look into that, because now the consumer is very demanding and there's a lot of competition. So, and you want to minimize, you want to make it user-friendly, just like how you said, it has to be super user-friendly. From a commercial perspective, returns have to be really easy. All this access, people, as much as technology's so advanced, there is that element, people still want to talk to someone on the phone. So is it the live chat element that you have, that someone can just instantly come on and be like, listen, I'm 5'4", the model looks like she's a little bit tall, how is it going to fall? They want this, everything is about this instant gratification. But for e-commerce, definitely there is an element, the bar has been raised when it comes to fashion. And so for designers here that are going on e-commerce, it's really important that you find, a really good platform that gives every element of what the fabric's going to look like. And the pictures have to be so clear that you can almost feel that, that fabric content.
Yeah, I feel that technology will come soon.
No, and
right.
it is, but I think a lot of times you really have to make sure that it is really a 360 approach. So, zooming in, seeing what the fabric looks like when the model's walking. Not just a basic photo is not going to cut it anymore on
Right,
an
right.
e-commerce site.
So we looked at content generation in terms of new production opportunities, new types of content types, and we looked at instant commerce. So for the audience who typically are either brands who want to get better exposure and retail opportunities, or also our influencers in the room who enable this purchase, enable this excitement and purchase. So Priya, I mean, what would be your advice be in terms of how these three stakeholders, from publishers like influencers, from brands, and from retailers, how can that be linked on your platform and benefit from the latest technologies and the see now, buy now dynamic?
Yeah, so there's a number of ways that brands can choose to represent what their image looks like. And we always say that images speak much louder than words. So what's your representation of your brand? What do you want your consumer to think and feel when they see an image that's portrayed by you, or a collection, or just simply the portrayal? And to Rosamund's point, I think it's great to consider using some of the trends and really think about what your consumer wants. So some of the things that we're starting to see from fashion on Instagram are slow-mo videos, the models walking down the catwalk, showing the material flowing, showing exactly, how that looks, how that would hang, zooming in. We're seeing a lot of different creative tools being used as well. So video has really become very big. There's been a 150% increase on video, not just on Instagram, on Facebook, and on all other platforms as well. So they're really utilizing that in their content, using things such as boomerang and hyperlapse to show their new images as well. I think if you're a designer and you want to build a presence, there are three different pillars that you can think about in terms of building that presence. So first of all, be on brand. What does your brand stand for? Is it synonymous with a certain product, like Burberry and the trench coat, or is it a certain color of your logo that will always shine through in your imagery? How would you cut through the clutter, so to speak, and make your brand really known? And the second thing to think about is having a concept around it. So having an idea. What is the idea? Do you always shoot your collection or products within a certain light, in a certain frame, behind a certain background, and so on? What really is going to speak to your consumer, but still be true to your brand? And the third thing is to be well crafted. And that doesn't mean that you have to spend, a lot behind production. It just means, like, how can you really play into the trend? Do you shoot from above? Do you shoot from the back? Do you have a certain kind of angle? And how do you put it together? So some of the trends that we've seen, like things organized neatly, things that are shot in a square format, these are all of the things that are becoming really popular on Instagram. I think one thing that you can always utilize now is the new Instagram Business Insights tools, which is available for everybody, regardless of how big your profile is, whether you're a business or whether you're just a community member for Instagram. You have access into insights for every single post. So you'll be able to see what content is popular, where it's being consumed, what the age group is, what country they're coming from. And this should enable you to be better informed on how to actually structure your content as well. So there are ways that you can be organically present in a big way without spending on sponsored posts and promoted posts and so on. I think once you've kind of built and got the basics in place, then you can think about what that marketing strategy may look like as well. So.
Priya, do you get involved in the engagement between, let's say, a typical influencer and a brand? I mean, do you as a platform, do you engage on what kind of a relationship this happens? Do you enable it? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in this market, across MENA, across the GCC in particular, we're seeing brands actually be very, very smart and work with influencers. They know that the influencers, have that deep level of relationship with their followers and with the consumers who are in the kind of same demographic that they want to reach. And we've seen some great collaborations, with Rosamund herself and some other of the influencers here that brands are working with as well. So I think they're being very, very smart about it. They have to still be very authentic and true. And I think, that matching process that they're going through is quite well thought out as well. So.
I think the dynamic is becoming more interesting now with the integration of instant commerce and really officializing it on your platform. So there's a three-party discussion that needs to happen, which it will be interesting to see how that develops.
Yeah.
And obviously the challenge for everybody from a brand perspective, a retail platform, e-commerce platform, or a publisher to generate top quality content, to be on trend or up to date on the latest technological advancements when it comes to content. So thank you very much for your perspective. We appreciate it a lot. Before I open up for questions and answers, I just wanted to announce a small announcement when it comes to EPIC program. I had hinted upon it as I started the discussion. So with our EPIC program, there is multiple pillars. One of them is to help build, let's say, better understanding in terms of learning opportunities for our designers in the program. And we have partnered with Domus Academy, which is offering a very nice scholarship in the level of masters in Milan. It's actually for 2 months. And we would like to announce our winner. So please give a round of applause to Ms. Alia bin Omer, who is the recipient of this award. And well done, Alia. So we're happy opening up the opportunity for questions, if anybody has one. Right. We're okay? So thank you once again for coming for our second Fashion Tech Talk. Hope it was insightful for you. We have our Samsung display outside, and we're also inviting you for, we continue our discussion outside in our luncheon. It's just behind, actually at the entrance. So you're all welcome to join. Thank you very much for coming once again, and have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you.